Act says what? It will be subjected to the tax at the rate of 15%. Similarly, your winnings from lotteries and transfer passes. The Act itself says what is the rate at which that particular income is to be taxed. But every finance act should specify the rates to which the other incomes in respect of which rate of tax is not specified by the Income Tax Act will be there in the Finance Act. And then the amendments I am looking at from the viewpoint of every year the finance minister will like to widen the scope where he can pull out certain incomes which are not so far subjected to the taxation, he want to bring it into the tax net. In fact, when I go through the provisions of this particular Finance Act of 2012, I really thank Anna Hazare and the way he fought for certain things. Now the government is also serious in catching the black money, and many provisions what I personally feel are aimed at bringing into the tax net the unaccounted money. Then of course there are a few amendments in the TDS and NRI taxation. We have good number of amendments, and assessment procedures we have some time limits which are being amended. So with this I have about 16 chapters in my presentation. Like first we will go with the rates of income tax. See, as far as the rates of income tax are concerned, one change is that earlier men and women, Income Tax Act made the distinction, at least in terms of basic exemption limit. Today you don't have such kind of distinction whether men or women below the age of 60 years, the basic exemption limit is 2 lakhs. Earlier it used to be 1,80,000 and 1,90,000. Today it is 2 lakhs. So the tax slabs for individuals, HUF, AOP, BOI have been made more beneficial. In what sense? Since the basic exemption limit got increased. And one more important thing that this particular amendment brought is like your tax earlier used to be from 5 lakhs to 8 lakhs, it is 20%. Now what has happened is from 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs we have what is it, the slab rate at the rate of 20%. Friends, try to understand. I will make you to write, don't be in a hurry to write down anything. What is relevant to the student from the examination point of view. I have about 200 pages of the notes, but you can't make or we can't make you to write 200 pages, but for each amendment at least a point which as a student you have to refer before exam, I will make you to write. First let us understand and then we will make a note of it. Then friends, so two important things that you observed in the rates of tax which are applicable to the individuals and HUFs, AOPs and BOI is what? One is basic exemption limit getting increased from 1,80,000 to 2 lakhs, and in the slab, earlier the slab used to be 5 lakhs to 8 lakhs, now it has gone to 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs. Consequently, there is a saving in the tax to what tune? In the basic limit being increased, you have got 2,000 rupees of the benefit, because earlier if it is 180, now you are saying basic exemption limit is 2 lakhs, which will bring 2,000 rupees of the tax benefit, and your 8 lakhs to 10 lakhs earlier used to be there in the 30% range. Now since the range of 20% being enhanced from 8 lakhs to 10 lakhs, there is a consequential tax saving of 10%. that 10% works out to be what? On 2 lakhs, the 10% works out to be 20,000. So altogether, citizens of India who have got 10 lakh rupees of the income should feel happy that are, when compared to the earlier their taxation, today they are being saved with 22,000 rupees. Now, as far as the rates that are applicable, I can say here there is a table with which you can understand. See friends, again one more welcoming change brought by this particular finance act is, earlier when you say senior citizen, it is a 65 years or more than 65 years. Today the age of the senior citizen is being brought down. That is, in the today's context, senior citizens are the one who has either got an age of 60 years or more than 60 years, up to 80 years they are called as senior citizen, more than 80 years they are said to be super senior citizens. Earlier we used to have 4 categories, today I have got only 3 categories. Individual, whether male or female, and HUFs and BOIs all come under the 3rd category, and first category is super senior citizen and second category is senior citizen, third is others. Of course, first you generally remember the things in this way, 2 lakhs to 5 lakhs it is 10% and 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs it is 20% and above 10 lakhs it is 30%. Once this slab you remember, then you come to the basic exemption limit. As far as super senior citizens, because we are living in a country called as India, where we are asked to respect 2 categories, one is senior citizens and women. Somehow today the act is not making much of a distinction between the men and women, but senior citizens continue to have the respect even under the income tax law. So super senior citizens, you have up to 5 lakhs there is no tax, their 5 lakhs to 10 lakhs will get subjected to 20% tax, over and above 10 lakhs it gets subjected to the tax at the rate of 30%. As far as senior citizens are concerned, that is 60 to 80, up to 2,50,000 rupees there is no tax, and above 2,50,000 rupees to what is it 5 lakhs it is 10%, 5 to 10 lakhs 20%, above 10 lakhs it is a 30%. Yes, thanks to the lawmaker there is no surcharge except for the companies. For all other SSEs there is no surcharge. That is, in case of the companies, what we are saying, if you are a domestic company the surcharge will be 5%, and if you are a other than domestic company the surcharge being 2%. Of course, there also in case of the company, if the total income is more than 1 crore then the surcharge comes into the play. Then friends, of course educational cess, there is no much of a change in the educational cess part, that continue to be 2% plus 1%, 2% educational cess, primary educational cess, and 1% secondary higher educational cess. Then friends, if I look at individually the other SSEs like cooperative societies, there is no much of a change brought by this particular finance act. Just for our convenience to complete the rates of tax, I put this point here. Up to 10,000 rupees the income gets subjected to the tax at the rate of 10%, 10,000 to 20,000 will get subjected to the tax at the rate of 20%, above 20,000 it gets taxed at the rate of 30%. Of course, this is only for the cooperative societies, but for the partnership firms, limited liability partnership and companies, it is right from the rupee 1 it is going to get subjected to the tax at the rate of 30% is a point. Then friends, as far as domestic company is concerned, earlier also I told the point that is in case if their income is going to exceed 1 crore, then they are liable for a surcharge of 5%, whereas for the foreign company the surcharge is 2%. And again with respect to the foreign company, if they have got royalties and that is income from royalties and fees for technical services, that income will be subjected to the tax at the rate of 50%. Other income will be getting subjected to the tax at the rate of 40% is a point. Yes. So try to make note of these changes. Then I will proceed to the next issue. Write down. Basic exemption limit. Basic exemption limit applicable for individuals, comma HUF, comma AOP, comma BOI, body of individuals. We need to classify the above persons. We need to classify the above persons into 3 categories. Number 1, super senior citizen hyphen (80 years and above 80 years). Put that in brackets and write against it rupees 5 lakhs. Rupees 5 lakhs. Senior citizens hyphen 60 years to 80. For them, the basic limit is 2,50,000. For all others, third category is for all others, basic limit is 2 lakhs. Now, having got the basic exemption limit, you make a note that for all other categories of SSEs, for all other categories of SSEs, example, partnership firms, comma limited liability partnerships LLPs, comma companies, there is no basic exemption limit. There is no basic exemption limit. And their income will be subjected to tax at a flat rate of 30%, at a flat rate of 30%. Next, slab rates or slabs, income tax slabs. Make side heading income tax slabs. Number 1, 2 lakhs to 5 lakhs, 10%. 5 lakh 1 rupee to 10 lakhs. What it is, friends? 20%. Above 10 lakhs, 30%. Above 10 lakhs, 30%. Next side heading, surcharge. Surcharge. Except for the company SSEs, there is no surcharge. There is no surcharge for all other SSEs. There is no surcharge for all other SSEs. In case of company SSEs, in case of company SSE, surcharge will be levied. Surcharge will be levied only when the total income exceeds rupees 1 crore. Rupees 1 crore. Next, surcharge applicable to the domestic companies. Surcharge applicable to the domestic companies, 5%, and surcharge applicable for foreign companies, it is 2%. Of course, friends, educational cess, write down educational cess, I think all of you know about the surcharge story and the educational cess story. Like surcharge, when originally introduced, country has got a fight with Pakistan, Kargil war is there, so government has to raise the money. They brought the concept of surcharge and they said, yes, once whatever the money that we have spent for the Kargil war, we raise by way of the surcharge, we will dispense off with that. But since the citizen got used to that, they retained it. Subsequently, somewhere they want to have people feel happy with the surcharge being taken away, because that year elections were there. So they have taken away the surcharge, and for company SSEs, they still continued it. Friends, try to understand, our income tax principle is what? Or other way around, our country's way of looking at the tax is what? Tax the wealthiest, feed the poor. That is where our law is. So surcharge continue to be there for the companies whose total income is more than 1 crore. As far as the educational says, how it came into the law book is, earlier there used to be only 3 to 4 IITs and 3 to 4 IIMs. Now, Murali Manohar Joshi, at that point of time, BJP NDA government, they said we will raise the money from the general public in the form of educational cess and will start IITs and IIMs. That's where even in our Andhra Pradesh we have an IIT, Triple IT in Hyderabad and Basra we have. Now, of course, many places good educational facilities are there, and all the regional engineering colleges are being upgraded to the status of the National Institute of Technologies. All that happened with the educational cess that the SSCs are paying to the government. Because as a future chartered accountants and tax practitioners, you should understand one thing: you must be always be a taxman. What I mean is, it is not that our presence is to help the people to avoid the tax, more we have to educate the people. Yes, we should always say that paying the taxes is not a sacrifice that anybody is doing. In fact, it is the primary responsibility of us who are enjoying the benefits given by the society that we have to pay the tax. At least as a chartered accountant, you please always tell this, keep this in the mind and get it into the heart and tell it to the clients. Of course, the clients will ask you one thing: sir, do we have the accountability for the taxes that we are paying? In this country, students try to understand why people feel bad to pay the taxes. In foreign country, once citizen pay the tax, their old age is at least assured, and when they get into the unemployment, they have got some social security in the form of money being given for unemployed and all. But since that is not happening in India, people try to cry for paying the taxes. More particularly when scams and all come, we feel much defeated for paying the taxes, because we are paying the taxes to improve our infrastructure facilities and the facilities which we have. So now please, now and then I will try to put you to the ease by talking generally, but anyhow you have to come back to the class. So take it, educational cess. Of course, there is no change in the educational cess, just because we are preparing for the exam, you have to write. There is no change in the educational cess. It continued to be 3%. It continued to be 3%. And it is applicable for all the SSCs. And it is applicable for all the SSCs. Then friends, take the rates of tax applicable for LLPs, partnership firms and companies. That is, for partnership firms oblique limited liability partnership LLP, it is 30%. Domestic company 30%. Foreign company, it is 40%. Of course, final students need to remember the point that the royalty income and fees for technical services, in case if the foreign company is getting, then such a income will be subjected to the tax at what rate? At the rate of 50%. Then I move to the another issue, like what is the rate at which the minimum alternate tax is being there. Like, I think all of you are aware of the fact of minimum alternate tax and what is minimum alternate tax first, before I tell you about the rate. See, in this country, so much of the tax exemptions and benefits are given. Of course, whenever the government gives any exemption or the deduction, it is just not like that it is giving. It has got some motive. We have to have infrastructure development. We have to have our underdeveloped areas of the country to be developed. So we have to encourage the entrepreneurs to come forward and establish the industries in the backward areas and all that. As a result of all these deductions and exemptions, a company will now give an advertisement in the paper that we are a zero tax company. That's where the lawmaker got irritated, and they said we will bring the concept called as a minimum alternate tax. So, in case you are having a book profit and your tax profit is less than your book profit and the tax on your tax profit is less than your book profits, that is where the concept of the MAT came into the picture. Of course, I will take up MAT related amendments independently, but at this juncture when we are discussing about the rates of tax, please do remember today minimum alternate tax is 18.5%. Minimum alternate tax is 18.5% of the book profits is to be taken as a profit as a tax amount. Write down minimum alternate tax is 18.5%. Minimum alternate tax is 18.5%. Of course, till 2 years back people are happy because MAT provisions are only applicable for the company essays. Later on, last year they made it applicable to the LLPs. Now they wanted to tax on the basis of alternate minimum tax all the SSCs. Anyhow, those provisions we will take up slightly later. Then dividend distribution tax, DDT, that is at the rate of 15%. Of course, again educational cess of 3% over and above it. So, write down dividend distribution tax. Dividend distribution tax rate is 15% plus surcharge plus educational cess. Who has to pay the dividend distribution tax, friends? It is a company which will pay the dividend distribution tax. This is being given under section 115(o) of the Act. That is the reason why the shareholder who is getting the dividend will get exempted. This is something which we study in the topic of income from other sources. Dividends get taxed under which head? Under the head income from other sources. And how many types of dividends we have? That is final dividend, interim dividend and deemed dividend. And at this point of time, let me give you a clarity on this particular point. That is, your dividends declared by the foreign company and deemed dividend covered by section 222E is not subjected to the dividend distribution tax. Consequently, as a shareholder, if you are getting any dividend from a foreign company or you are exposed to the deemed dividend under section 222E, then there is no exemption under section 1034 in respect of such dividends. So, dividends given by the domestic company and the deemed dividends covered by 222A to D, they are subjected to the dividend distribution tax under section 115(o). So, since company is paying the tax on it, individual shareholder is being given exemption under section 10 clause 34. To this extent, the clarity must be there in the student's mind. So, totally I am putting the dividends into 4. One is a dividend declared by the domestic company, second is a dividend given by the foreign company, third is a deemed dividend covered by 222A to D, and fourth is deemed dividend under 222E. So, deemed dividend under 222E and your dividend by the foreign company is not exposed to the dividend distribution tax. Consequently, there is no exemption under 10 clause 34 is what you have to remember. So, I think all of you made the note of rate of it. Dividend distribution tax is at 15% plus surcharge plus educational cess. Then friends, here there is a amendment and which is again a very welcoming move, like there is a foreign company, surcharge on income of foreign companies. In case of foreign companies, the rate of surcharge is 2%. Of course, this is what we have already studied, but the amendment which we need to discuss here is like foreign subsidiary of an Indian company declare the dividend. See, there is an Indian company and there is a subsidiary for that Indian company which happens to be a foreign company, and then it declares the dividend. Just now what I explained, if a foreign company declares a dividend, then that dividend is not subjected to the dividend distribution tax. Consequently, there is no exemption under 10 clause 34 is what I explained. Now, there is an Indian company and there is a foreign company, and Indian company is holding the shares in the foreign company. Consequent to that, the Indian holding company is getting the dividends from that particular foreign company. In a normal situation, what should happen, friends? Except for this particular amendment, but for this particular amendment, what should have happened? That is, this Indian holding company, once it receives the dividend from the foreign subsidiary company, that will be included in its income, and the domestic company will be subjected to the tax at what rate? At the rate of 30%. Domestic company, if it has got income, any type of income of the domestic company will be subjected to the tax at the rate of 30%. Now, the domestic, that is Indian company, is receiving dividends from its foreign subsidiary, and foreign company will not pay any dividend distribution tax. Then that income will come to the Indian company, and Indian company need to pay the tax at the rate of 30%. But we wanted to bring an amendment and to say that in case the subsidiary foreign company, that is for an Indian holding company, if there is a foreign subsidiary company, and if that foreign subsidiary company is going to declare the dividend and pay the dividend to the Indian holding company, then such a dividends will be subjected to the tax at 50% of the normal rate. What is the normal rate to which the domestic company's income is subjected to the tax? At the rate of 30%. 50% of the normal rate means what? 15%. Right? So, I think all of you properly got this particular point. So, make note of this, that is rate of tax, definitely I personally feel this particular point will be there in the paper of CA final for the coming May. Rate of tax on dividend, from specified foreign companies, for specified foreign companies. That is foreign subsidiary of Indian holding company, foreign subsidiary of Indian holding company declares dividend, then such a dividend in the hands of Indian holding company, will be subjected to the tax, at the rate of 15% plus a surcharge plus educational cess. So, what they were saying, 50% of the normal rate. When they say 50% of the normal rate, you have to understand that it is 30% is the rate at which the Indian company, domestic company need to pay the tax on their incomes, any type of income. So also the dividend income. So 50% of the normal rate means 30 में 50% बोले तो 15%. चलो. Then the next is of course alternate minimum tax. Already I explained it. What is alternate minimum tax? See, normal citizen will always cry for these kind of provisions. On one hand, you are encouraging the people to go to backward areas, establish industrial undertakings and have the tax benefits, concessions and all. On the other hand, again you show your ugly face. In fact, I personally feel this is an ugly face of the taxation, that is alternate minimum tax, making the people to be fools. That is, with all the encouragement and enthusiasm in the form of exemptions and deductions, I go to the backward areas and establish industrial undertakings, I develop the infrastructure for the country. Now you come with a tax like alternate minimum tax, and earlier it is only for companies minimum alternate tax, later on LLPs, now for everybody. So what is this? That is, in case if your tax on normal taxable profits is less and you have got book profits, then 18.5% of the book profits we are asking you to pay in the form of alternate minimum tax. See, if you see the taxation year after year, the government only motive is what? How I will widen the tax base and how fastly I collect the money in the form of taxes. They do not want to delay it. All other things can get delayed. Our development can get delayed, our refunds can get delayed, but the way they want to collect the tax, they are bringing all beautiful provisions. Of course, the interesting point here is, in case next year you have tax profits more than the book profits, then whatever the tax that you paid in the form of alternate minimum tax in excess of the tax on regular income, then that excess you can take very well the credit in the future years, and up to a maximum of 10 years you can adjust this particular excess of the alternate minimum tax which you are paying over the normal tax, you can take a credit of it. All these things are like what? Recently there is a move by the government which is affecting common man. You pay for the cylinder 1200 rupees and later on the company which is supplying the cylinders will provide the information to the government. Based on that information, government will give you the subsidy. Earlier how it used to be, company is going to give us cylinder, we used to pay 400 rupees, government used to pay them 700, 800 rupees of subsidy for each of the cylinder. Now what is happening? That is, we will be paying to the gas company 1200 rupees and gas company will provide the information to the government and government will transfer the money to our bank accounts which are linked with Aadhaar card. See, yes, for a chartered accountant or for a person who has got good income, this drama or the story is okay. But for a person who earns about 5,000, 6,000 and got married and have children, how you expect suddenly him to pay 1200 rupees there in advance and wait for when the subsidy will come to his bank accounts? So these type of provisions are also more or less similar to that. That is, when you have got good book profits and you don't have much of a taxable profits, 18.5% of the book profits you pay the tax in the form of alternate minimum tax, and in the future years, in case if your tax profits are more, then what is it? Whatever the excess that you have paid earlier years will be adjusted at a later years. So please make a note of it.